Oh, all right. So let's get here. Uh-huh. All right, Marcus, we're going on, boy. You good? Done. Jordan, Judith. Oh. Hey, Jordan, how you doing? All right, cool. All right. All right, folks. So last week, Wednesday, when we were here, somebody had asked if the next topic could be manufacturing accounts. And I'm noticing that one of the people who asked for that not here today. So my plan is to do manufacturing. So, oh, sorry, I didn't turn on that TV. My bad. All right. Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Back on the inside. Anna, Tammy. Oh, hold on. What's going on here now? Why is it blinking orange? Oh, okay. All right, folks. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna do manufacturing house for the next couple of days. But how we're gonna do it? We are going to do it like in piece by piece fashion. And we're not gonna go back to the regular handouts I use. We're gonna go straight to the past papers, right? Now, the biggest thing that tends to be problematic with the manufacturing is the what you call it. The first section, which is the calculation of the cost of materials consumed. Give me one second. Let me pull up an example so I can show you, right? So yeah, so usually the problem lies within that piece there, which is interesting because basically this is the cost of goods sold section from your income statement. But then when you have trouble with it, it tells me, hey, you didn't really understand that, which of course we could fix, right? But for some reason, people seem to be kind of resistant to it. I don't know why. It could be for any number of reasons. I could hazard guesses, but Anessa. On costing. Which costing, Anessa? Are you talking about keep stuff? Anessa, right. Hey, Anessa, good afternoon. How you doing? Good to have you on. Yeah, online. Okay, cool. Right. So what my intention is today is we are going to do the manufacturing account, but again, we're going to do it in pieces, right? Because after you do the cost of materials consumed, you just have one or two more items to go to get prime cost, and then after that, there's the overheads, right? So what I'll do is I'll print out the questions for you guys. Hopefully, you all have your own paper because I kind of short on paper. So I'm going to start with some old questions. This one is from 2005. So this question is 20 years old. Terrellounge is 2008. That's about 17 years old. That's about older some of you all. And then Jeans and Things is 2010. Right? Right. So one thing at a time. Right? Those online in the Google Meet, I will send you guys a pic of the item as we go along. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we'll do 8 copies just in case anybody else reaches. We're gonna cool it, but let's just put that. Right. While that has been put to print, Right, now I do intend to leave the information on the screen at all times, but I will send it in the chat in case anybody online can't see it that well on the screen, and they can instead pull it up from their phones or whatever device they have, right, from WhatsApp. Sorry, I was trying to take that off. And let's zoom in here. Right, PoA. Cash flow. All right, so Ms. Reticent, when you say cash flow, are you talking about the statement of cash projections on the CSEC PoA syllabus? Because the cash flow statement is a very specific financial statement which is not on your syllabus. But they've taken to calling it the cash flow statement, which is not a good thing for them to do because it can cause confusion. Right? So if you're talking about the statement of cash projections, I actually have a video on my channel already that you can do. But yes, I actually will be tackling that. If not, it's not this week. It's probably not next week. So most likely you might see that in very early May. Right? When we'll be in, what's the word, boy? Heavily in exam mode there. All right. Did I not put something to print? Am I not in the right Wi-Fi? We're going here, boy. Right. Is this off? Oh, probably was off. Okay, cool. All right. So what I need to do is I need to just get another what you call it, Excel spread. Boy, I sent it to print. Give yourself. Okay, hearing something going on. Okay, cool. Well, we'll use this one as the example, which of course was my intention all along. Oh, here's Aliana. Right. Hey, Aliana, good afternoon. How you doing? Good to have you on. Mark your present. Hey, Mandeep, afternoon. What vibes? Cool. Yeah, so guys, today we're going to do a little revision of manufacturing accounts. We're going to take it a little differently. So I'm going to do the first one as an example, but just the cost of materials consumed. And then we're going to do about 3 or 4 more questions using just doing that cost of raw materials consumed part, right? Right, okay, cool. Right, sorry, wrong file open. That's just the password breakdown. Right, okay, cool. So like I was saying, as you can see, we have hold on, is that the right one? I want to open. Set 4. Right, so that. Right, so as you can see, basically what's being shown here is like a full manufacturing account, right? With the calculation for the cost of materials consumed, the factory wages, giving you prime costs, and you have overheads. Some you have to calculate based on the sharing of the expense items between the factory and the non-factory aspect of the operation, right? And then we close it off here with the work in progress adjustment. Now, again, you know my style. I don't try to give you the whole thing in one go and expect it just to learn the format because that's how it's been done. No, that's not my style, right? You know me a while now. So what we're gonna do it in pieces. All right. So we're going to start with this cost of raw materials consumed. All right. So the question that we are doing is this question here, McNorton tools. So again, it's a pretty old question relative to y'all, right? It's from 2005, so it's about 20 years old, right? And what we are going to do is I'm going to use this as the example to do the cost of materials consumed. All right. So 1 second, to set my formats. Not book. All right, cool. Okay, so let's put question on top, and let's put the item below. Below that. Textbooks across there. Right, so McNorton Tools is a small manufacturing establishment. At the end of the accounting year, February 28, 2004, the following information was available. Right, so we have some stocks there. March 1st, 2003, that's the opening stocks, raw materials, right? And we have other items of opening stock there. We have factory wages, factory salaries, purchase of raw materials. Okay, so let me actually open this a little bit more, because what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the raw materials for a second, right? That rectangle. Right, so this item here, right, the opening stock of raw materials, the purchases of the raw materials, right, and then we have this item down here. Okay, so again, our task is to be able to calculate the cost of raw material. I mean, the whole manufacturing account, we start with one little piece, which tends to be, for some people, the most challenging piece. So that's why I'm starting with it, right? And you really only need 3 items to do this. You can have up to 5 items, right? Sometimes you might have only 2, right? But there are 3 basic items you need to be familiar with, right? The opening stock, the purchases, and the closing stock of raw materials. So we're going to push that up there. Let's zoom in a bit more down here as well. Why not? Cool. This is the 2005. So May 2005. McNorton tools. All right, cool. You know what? Let's just go into about 180. Right. Okay, cool. So McNorton tools manufacturing account, right, for the year ended 28 February 2004. Sorry, I age question up, yes? I'll age it down. All right, so the first thing that we're going to be doing is simply calculating the cost of that. Now it says raw materials in the question, so let's use raw materials, right? Raw materials. Used. Now you could use the word used, you could use the word consumed, right? It doesn't matter which word you use, they all mean the same thing. All right. Now, again, it's just 3 items. You have an addition and a subtraction, and that's it, right? So we have the opening stock. So I'll put stock at stock start. What do you prefer? You prefer stock or inventory? What would you prefer? Inventory. All right. Let's use inventory at start. Again, you could use inventory at start. You could use stock at start, opening stock. You could use inventory dash March 1, 2003. It don't matter, right? What's the value there? What's the value of the opening stock of raw materials? 27, right? Right. To that, we have to add the purchases, right? Now, some people, they'll put inventory of raw materials at start, purchases of raw materials. They'll put inventory of raw materials at end. I find writing out the phrase raw materials several times like that is unnecessary, because what is the heading here? Cost of what? Raw materials used. So you wouldn't put anything else besides raw material items under that subsection. So you don't need to constantly write raw materials over and over. It don't make sense, right? So inventory at start 27. What's the purchases figure? 36,300, right? 36,300, right? And then we just give it less inventory at end. You seen carriage somewhere? You seen carriage in it? No. Oh, okay. Right. Okay, inventory at end. So we're going to scroll down a bit. And what's the value there? Boxed off. Inventory of raw materials at end. 50, right? So I'm going to put mine as a negative figure, right? You don't have to, right? Once you know you're adding and subtracting going on, right? So this, I would say, is the bare minimum you have to show, and you just pull it across, right? Now, like I was saying, there are 3 basic items that you will be using. These are the 3 basic ones, right? It's quite possible to not have an opening stock or to not have a closing stock. It's very, very rare, and I've never seen it in a CSEC question, to have neither, right? Maybe once in a blue moon, right? Now, you have 2 other things that can go here. I'm not going to use them just yet. All I want you to focus on are the 3 basic items. Opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. That's all, right? Now, some teachers will tell you, well, you have to show the subtotal here, call the cost of materials available. You don't have to show it, you don't, right? I was trained to show it. You can if you want to. If the question is specific, like for example, on top here, you'll see it says prepare the account showing clearly cost of raw materials consumed, prime costs, factory overheads, total cost. If you don't show any of these things, you do not get the mark that is awarded for that item, all right? But most of the other things is optional, right? In terms of what you have to show, right? So cost of raw material, cost of materials available. Right, if you add those things. Right, so like I said, I like to put that line, but to be honest, it's an extra line that you don't need. You don't get an extra mark for it, to be honest, right? This line here, see how I put in the cost of material available? You don't need that, all right? As a matter of fact, hold on. All right, so you don't need that. You don't need a 63.3, right? Again, if you like to use it, that's perfectly fine. If your teacher insists, that's cool. CSEC will not insist you show it, but they can, right? But it's very unlikely for them to ask for that, right? If you have these 3 things, opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock, right? Provided, of course, that those are the only 3 things that apply in this section, you get your marks, right? You don't get extra marks on a question for anything. You can only get the marks awarded for it, all right? And this item here we call the cost of raw materials used, right? Used or consumed, doesn't make a difference, means the same thing. All right, cool. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to print out a couple more questions, and that's all we're going to do for those questions. After we do just that, then we're going to modify it slightly because there are 2 items that could go here. Anybody know what 2 items those are? Sorry? Yeah. Right, okay, you're thinking about the whole prime cost section. Yes, so after the materials, you'll have that direct labor. But I'm talking specifically in the calculation of cost of materials. Carriage inwards and returns out of material, right? So you notice I didn't put them in because, again, we started in real small with, sorry, what? Question? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, sometimes they could give you a question where things are kind of all over the place and you have to kind of find them. So that's a bit annoying, but I mean, that's just whatever. Yeah, if you want to do the whole thing, you know what to do, go ahead, right? How I'm approaching it today is from those who wanted to kind of start from scratch, but take an accelerated path through the topic, right? So, this piece here. In class, people, are we okay with the first, this thing on the screen, the example? Any questions, anybody, anything? No? All right, Google Meet. So, Aliana, Anissa, Ayaz, Jaziri, Jordan, Cassie, Mandeep, and Marcus. If you guys are good with that, just give me a quick Genie chat, please. Hey, good afternoon, Tilly. How are you doing? Yeah. All right, good to hear that. So yeah, so we're doing manufacturing today, and I'm taking a bit of a crash course approach to it. So we just starting with just this one piece here, right? So I just went through it. Yeah, sorry. So what I'm saying is, what we're going to do now is we are going to just take this little concept here, open inventory at start plus purchases minus closing inventory to get the cost of materials used. There are two more items that go in it, but we're not going to use those two items yet. So even if those items are present in the question, we're going to ignore them. All right. Now it might mean we're going to end up doing some questions, some pieces over a couple of times, but that's okay. It's just in the name of practice. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on 1 sec. I wonder if it makes sense to push this one up instead. No, it wouldn't fit. All right, so pull that one down and then push this one up. Right, so I'm going to send a picture of this in the chart, and then we're going to go from there. Yo. What, sorry? No. What does it say? Returns and what's up what? Right. Okay, cool. So that's that piece. Right. The next question. Give me 1 sec. All right. So this is Terrellounge. This is from 2008. All right. So what we're going to take a look at here is the same thing that we're doing right now, which is just the calculation of the cost of materials consumed. So from the start it up, inventory or stock at the start. Now you'll notice you have 3 items: raw material, work in progress, and finished goods, right? So yes, those 3 items will be used at some point, but right now we're just focusing on the raw materials. So we have raw materials. Then we have purchases of raw material, right? This question was a bit of an anomaly because they also had purchases of finished goods, which is not the usual thing. So what happens in the income statement, in the cost of goods sold section, you know, you'll go opening stock plus purchases, right? So in manufacturing, you'll normally be opening stock of finished goods plus the cost of goods produced or cost of goods manufactured. So you'll have actually 2 items to add: the cost of goods manufactured and the purchases of finished goods, minus the closing stock of both. All right? Yeah. Okay. Right. And actually, I'm gonna put this one as well. Change the color on that one. Nope. That's not what I meant to do. Not fill. This one. Green. Okay, cool. All right, so folks, in this particular one here, we have theta. So what you're doing for me, right? Like I said, we're just doing this, right? Now you'll notice, right, that we have the opening stock, we have the purchases, which we know we're going to add together. We have the closing stock, so you're going to subtract that, right? We have a new item here in the green, right, which is the carriage inwards on raw material. So we know carriage inwards is like paying for delivery. Like when you guys order food from here, from KFC or Domino's, you can't just pay for the food, you have to pay for the transport, right? So you see, like if you order something off of Amazon or from Shein, from wherever, you have to pay for shipping, right? And shipping forms part of the cost of the item, right? Any money you pay to purchase the item and to get it to you and to be able to use it is all of that as part of the cost. If you didn't pay, any particular component and you can't use it, then what's the point of it, right? Okay, so we know what we're going to do. We're going to take inventory at start, raw materials. We're going to take that. We're going to add it to the raw materials purchases. And what I'm going to tell you to do here. So I know I said we omit it, but I'll scratch that. You're going to add this carriage as well. So let me give you an idea of how we're going to look, right? Right. Yep. Right. So this is what it look like. You're going to take your inventory at start, add your purchases, add your carriage inwards, right? And you're going to minus your inventory at end. Right? So let's kind of zoom in a little bit. Right? So again, inventory at start plus purchases plus carriage minus the inventory at end. Right? So I've boxed them off for you in the red. The new item, which is the carriage, which is in the green. Terrellounge, sorry, I forgot to head it up. This is May 2008. Terrellounge. Cool. Okay. A little bit. We're not for 280%. Right, that's fine. 220 is fine. The opening stock, inventory at start, plus the purchases, plus the carriage inwards, and then minus the last item there. Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yeah. Next one. Hey, babe. No. Hey. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So let's go. So the cost of materials used. Let's start. So the inventory start is how much? What's that figure? 36,520. Right. The purchases of raw materials is. Right. Cool. The carriage figure was. Right. Cool. So. What's that? Okay. And the closing raw materials was how much? 39. Right. Cool. So now the cost of materials used is 131,840. Right. So again, right, there are things like, for example, another version of this could be as follows. Let me maximize this for a second, right? So another version of this would actually require a dollar sign here. Pull this across here. Pull this across as well. Right. I need two lines. All right, so what they do is they add these two together, and they pull it across, and then they add those two together, and that will give you the cost of raw materials available for use. And then this will come across here. That'll be just these two things here. Right, so as you can see, this is a little more elaborate, right, and requires 3 columns, whereas the other version here was quite straightforward. You have the 3 items you add in and your 1 you're subtracting, all right? So you're still adding these same 3 things, you're just adding them in a slightly different sequence or whatever the case is. And then you're adding those, right? So you're getting your 178.40, you're subtracting your 39. Hold on just now. Hey, I asked you that. Oh no, hold on. I know what to do. Yeah, 131,840. Okay, cool. All right, are we okay with 131,840? All right, Google Meet, just give me a quick Genie chat, and don't forget to send pics of your work, right? Especially those whose parents have reminded them to do so. Yeah. Mhm. Let me see. This is what, which one you doing, McNorton, or you're doing Terrellounge? Yeah, take out the 200 before you do any division. All right, yeah. I think I forgot to give you all a print of this question here. But that's okay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, let me take out these things here. No, stop it. Oh God. Okay. So current page and 8 copies. Right. And then we're gonna go down to the next question. Right now, after this question, which should have a returns out. Ha, yes. That's in the chat too. I don't want to focus. Hold on to that because we're going to come back to some of these questions. I printed out and things for you all. That's what we want to know. one, jeans and things. All right, so let's go. Jeans and Things is a medium-sized factory which makes teens clothing. Sorry. At the end of the accounting year, 31st December 2009. Sorry, where was that? Max, please roadblocks. Can you have that video already, boy? I had a message more on Instagram or something. Get a link. That there already. You might be able to check my YouTube right now. This is on my YouTube. Almost sure it. Just not message me. Right. Okay, so again, all we're doing is we're calculating the cost of raw materials used. Right? So let's just kind of box off the items that we're going to be using, right? So in this first batch here, are we going to be using anything in that first little set of information? What item? Oh, crap. Active arrow. Right, so what figure? Give me the figure. 33.5? Right, cool. 33.5 is the item from there. Right. Fill color. No color. Yeah, the one, yeah. And the outline is red. Right, cool. Going down the line, what else? Rent and rate. We need purchases of raw materials. We have that. And we have the carriage. So the purchase and the carriage together. And, right? And then down here, we have the closing stock of raw materials, right? But there's one new item here, which is this item. It returns outwards, right? Now, normally, we think of returns outwards in the context of finished goods. But because we are a manufacturing entity, right, we don't usually deal with finished goods. So the returns outwards here could only be on the raw materials, right? So we know from just now, the first three things in red, the opening stock of raw materials, the purchases, and the carriage on raw materials, we know we're going to add those, yeah? And of course, we're going to have to subtract the, the closing stock. But this returns outwards, right? What do you think we do with it? We also subtract it, that's correct. So I'm going to do up a kind of format for you to follow. Just a couple seconds here. Right, cool. Hey, what are you doing there? Come back down, right. Put that down. This is 2010, I believe. No, so I'll show you, right? So 10, this is Jeans and Things. Things, right, cool. 1st December. All right, cool. Let's go out about that, right? Okay, so the cost of raw materials used, right? So we have the inventory at start, add the purchases, add the carriage inwards, right? So we're going to take that one out of the green. So the returns out, we have to subtract that. All right, okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll leave you guys to fill in the blanks here, right? Get the cost of materials used, and then we're going to go from there. All right, so it's inventory at start plus purchases plus carriage minus returns out and minus inventory at end. Right, and I'll show you the alternative kind of 3-column format that sometimes they expect, but which is not absolutely necessary. Yeah. Up and then we'll make it less cool. Oh, hey Tony, afternoon. How you doing? Go ahead inside now. All right, cool. All right, so we're going to try to calculate the cost of raw materials used. First thing is the opening inventory or at start. What's the value there? 33,500, right. So that we have to add the purchases. What's the purchases value of raw materials? 247,330, right? And we have to add the carriage because the delivery cost is part of the cost, right? That's 1,500, right? We had some returns out, so we do what with that? We have to subtract that, and of course, hey Kayla, how are you doing? Right, and after that, of course, we have the closing inventory, right, which we subtract. No, you're correct. Sorry, 3,000. Thank you. Right, so we add the first three minus the last two, and we have 269.1. Can anyone confirm that figure for me? Okay with that? Yeah? Teresa, we're going with that one. Oh. Okay. What figure you put? Oh, the one on top. 43. Okay. All right. Let's switch it out now and copy the totals. Right. So what I'm going to show you here is how this could look in a 3-column format, right? Which again is not necessary. It's just a custom that some teachers have. Right. So I'm going to just take that out, pull that across there, right? Let's get rid of that too. They call that net purchases. Right, so then we're going to add that to the 33.5 above. That's going to give us the cost of materials available for use. Let's maximize that so we can see things a bit more clearly. How about that? And from that, you subtract the inventory at end. Yeah. Is the correct answer? What went wrong across here? Oh, I do have the returns out. Okay, hold on. Let's know. Oh, yeah, I inserted this thing. Right, so 266, 110? Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Right, and then, right, so this is how we could look in a 3-column format, but again, it's not entirely necessary to do that. Right, a 2-column format is perfectly fine as well. Right, so whichever one you prefer, which one makes sense to you. This one here gives more details, right? as in like names of items and that kind of stuff. Right? But that's not necessary. Right? This is perfectly adequate, right? And you get your marks for the items you have. So again, I leave it to you as to which one you would like to do. I just find when I explain it, this one makes a little more sense to explain because it's easier. You don't have to worry about shifting stuff here and left and right and all kind of drama. Why we do this, why we do that, right? Just get them single column, right? Add this, subtract that, and we're good to go, right? So again, we started just three items: inventory at start plus the purchases minus the inventory at end, right? So you add and then you subtract. Cool. And then we included one more addition item, which was the carriage inwards, and then we included one more subtraction item, which was the returns outwards. Okay, so this is what the cost of goods, cost of raw materials consumed section could look like. This is another version, again, a slightly more elaborate, a bit more spaced out. It matters not which one you use unless they specifically ask for stuff like net purchases of materials or cost of materials available, which they almost never do if they ever have. All right, okay. In class, people, are we okay with the third item here? As in this third question. Any questions, anybody, anything? No? All right, Google Meet, if you guys are good with the third item, just give me a quick Genie chat, please, and thanks. If you need me to re-explain anything, give me an R. And let me know specifically what you want to re-explain. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Still haven't seen any pics from your online people. All right, cool. So one sec. So let me just take out those colored boxes thing. So what's the thing? Okay, cool. Right, so let's go back to McNorton. Oh, let me take out these things too. Okay, what we're going to know with McNorton is we're going to finish off the prime cost section, right? What do I mean by that? Okay, so when you're doing your manufacturing account, you're going to have three major sections. You're going to have your prime cost section, you're going to have your overheads, and you're going to have your work in process adjustment. All right. Your prime cost section has can have three things: your materials, your labor, and then your other direct expenses. Your overheads, that could have a whole list of items. It's almost like an expense section in the income statement. It could have rent, insurance, factory salaries. It could have electricity, depreciation, power, maintenance, all kind of thing, right? So I can't really give a list here. And then the work in process adjustment is just, well, we kind of know what to do already, right? We have to add the opening stock, and we have to minus the closing stock. Long story short, right? Now, what I'm going to focus on in this next batch of work is, so we're using the same three printed questions I gave to you all, right? We're going to focus on finishing off the prime cost section, right? Now, McNorton, right? Okay, so how this will look now is like this, right? So we're going to have to add the direct labor, which could also sometimes be called factory wages, right? And you need to read carefully because you can also have indirect wages, which will go under the overhead section, right? And then you have your other direct costs or other direct expenses. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go into the question and we're going to look for these items, right? I don't understand why it's not giving me that thing. Okay, so on top of here now, let's go back into 200, right? Okay, so what we're going to look at, what we're going to look for here in the question is any of these things: direct labor, factory wages, and then other direct costs or direct expenses, right? Now, there's a list of items that could go under that other direct costs or expenses. We won't get into it right now. I'll wait till it comes up. But I'll give you a bit of an idea. Okay, so starting from the top here now. So we have stocks. Aha, look at the next item. Factory wages, direct. What's the value there? 150? Cool. Then we have factory salaries. Now, salaries is usually indirect. Wages are paid to what we call production line workers or just line workers, people who actually work on the production. And salaries are usually paid to like the janitors, the managers, the maintenance staff, that kind of thing. So people not directly involved in production. All right, so be careful. But what will clear it up is if we have any additional information below. So let's get there, right? Returns out, factory fuel and power, sales, insurance, admin, returns inwards of finished goods. Right, okay. Machinery, depreciation, fuel and power in arrears, insurance is a right? Okay, cool. So we have nothing to worry about, right? So we have factory wages, direct 150. And we also don't have any other direct costs. If we had any other direct costs, the question would tell us that, all right? Some of the things that could be done, so I'll just put a 0 here. No, but just again for the record, if you don't have any other direct costs or expenses, don't put the line in. Just leave it. Just leave it. Don't put it in. Just add these two things together. All right. But just for the sake of having it there, so you know going forward, right? I want to leave it in. All right. So we add those three things there. All right, and that gives us our prime cost. Prime cost. Let's put that one on kind of yellow. Why not? Right, now you don't have to align your stuff like this. I'm just doing it so it stands out. Right? Some people like to right align, some people like to left align. Some people like to put it in the center. It don't matter, right? Once you put the item there, you should be good. Okay? So we did the kind of big piece of work when we did the cost of materials used section. All right. All we're doing now is we're rounding out the prime cost section, which will have direct labor or factory wages and some other direct expenses. Right? We'll talk about what that is when we get closer to it, right? Now, this question didn't have any other direct costs, so we don't have to worry about it. Right? And as we said, as we went through information, salaries is indirect or overheads, right? As is factory power and fuel. Right. So when you are producing, you are manufacturing, you have to have materials to make the thing, right? Well, let's say you're cooking, you're making cookies or cake to carry to school. You need your flour, your sugar, your oil, your eggs, etc. You need the ingredients. Now, do those things magically transform themselves into a finished product? No, you need a human to do the work. So you have two major components. You have your materials and your labor. Without those two things, nothing gets done, right? So when we add those two figures together, you get the prime cost. So prime meaning the primary or the fundamental costs that need to be in place, otherwise nothing else could really be there, right? Now, the other prime costs that I have, so I guess I could explain it now. These costs are like costs you pay for intellectual property. So for example, KFC, Pizza Hut, Burger King, all these places, those are not local Trinidad origin. There are people down here who buy a franchise. They are franchise holders, right? But the intellectual property is not theirs. They have to pay for the right to use it, right? Because those things would carry like they would command like a kind of brand power, that kind of stuff that they didn't think. So they'll benefit from that. So they have to pay to use all those things, all the name, all the designs, that kind of stuff, right? Now you also have stuff like licenses, for the same intellectual property, licenses, patent fees, trademark fees, and they have one or two others that'll pop up from time to time, right? The one that we have to watch out for is packaging, right? Because packaging, right? Hey, Peter B, oh, you didn't have to, right? A direct cost is a cost that can be easily and directly traced to each individual unit of output. If you take a pound or 10 pounds of flour and you make a set of cupcakes, you could easily divide the amount of flour by how many cupcakes. You could figure out how much flour each cupcake used, right? Same thing for the oil, same thing for whatever other ingredients. labor, you know, if you were the one making it, how many hours you spend, and all your hours will put to that. So all of your labor costs attached to that directly, right? But how much of the oven depreciation was used in each cupcake? How much dishwashing liquid that was used to wash the wares should be attached to each cupcake? Is that easy to? They're not right. So some costs that are incurred and that have to be covered are not easily or directly attributable to each unit of output. So the ones that are called the direct costs. So like materials, labor, right? But the ones that are not, those are treated as indirect costs or overheads, right? Like for example, the literal roof over your head is paid for rent by rent, not so? Right. So in that case, how much of rent can be directly attributable to each unit of output? Because you don't see the rent on the cupcake, right? Well, hopefully no pieces of roof fall into it. That's a different story, right? So costs like that, rent, electricity, insurance, depreciation, all those, they were incurred. They have to form part of your cost structure, but they're just not directly attributable to units of output. Make sense? All right, cool. This is manufacturing accounts. Yeah. Yeah. Unless there was additional information to clarify. How come? Right. So wages are paid to what we call line workers or production line workers. And salaries are paid to people like janitors, maintenance staff, managers. It's just a very subtle distinction. Right? But it's just paid to people, but it's what do people do it. Right? For which one? Say McNorton. I had to tell you, just give me 1 second. So your final figure or before the working process? I have 64,480. No, sorry, I lied. 329,270. If not, check here. Check your prime costs and check your overheads. If your overheads total is there you go. Right. Cool. All right. Okay. Google Meet. Let's give me a quick G if you're okay with what I was talking about with direct versus indirect. Right? Direct costs are costs that are easily and directly attributable or traceable to each unit of output. Right? Like direct materials. Sorry. Do I have any video on Pythagoras theorem? I don't, unfortunately. I don't. I would love to. Pythagoras theorem is actually a very favorite theorem of mine. But unfortunately, no, I don't have one right now. Sorry about that. Oh, Shada. Hey, Shada, you're welcome. Shada, you messaged me somewhere else, right? Do you WhatsApp? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. Right. Okay. So now we're gonna go to the next question. But so in class, we okay with 197.7? All right, cool. So now we're gonna go to Terrellounge. Let's pull up Terrellounge. Question. All right. Right. So in Terrellounge now. Right. So I see in direct labor 134,600. You see how this says office salaries, right? Or you in fact, okay, maybe it was somebody else. Maybe somebody similar. Yeah. So direct labor is factory wages or direct labor. So that goes there. Office means it was not part of your production, right? Utilities. Okay. So in this one, so what I want you to do, basically, all you're going to do, right? You're going, what? Hey, you went. What did you to go away? Right. All you're really going to do is you're going to tack on direct labor to the end here. So you're going to put add direct labor, put that here, and the total will just say prime cost. You don't have to put other direct costs or other direct expenses. All right. Right. The direct labor is 134.6. So all you're doing is you're adding it here. Yo. Uh-huh. Whatever is prepaid should be subtracted before the figure is included in the overhead section. Oh, Burrell, this is manufacturing accounts. Hold on, let me. Which question is? That's the next one, right? Um. 12 months in a year, and plus the extra trade 50. So you pay 50,000, which is 1,000 for 50 months. We do a statement for 1 year. So the applicable number of months is 12. So all you have to think about is the discount. So you can think of it as 50,000 minus 50. You can have that. Or you just think of it as 12 months multiplied by 1,000. Right? The monthly premium is the amount you have to pay per month for the insurance. Burrell, did you teach this from scratch on YouTube? I did. It is there. YouTube. No, okay, cool. Right. Okay, cool. So we're gonna put add direct labor. So much? 134,600. Cool. Add those two together. And that's gonna give us our prime costs. What is prime cost? Yo. Right. So patent fees, trademark fees, licenses, any kind of intellectual property thing you had to pay. So they'll no. Electricity is that's overheads, as indirect. Nah, it there. Just you gotta search fit boy. You can look up how to do manufacturing accounts, manufacturing tutorial. MKI, how you do it. Okay, cool. Right. So that's that piece, right? So we have one more question on this paper, which is the genes and things. Right. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's do like a 180. Right. Now with genes and things, right, we have the factory wages. Factory salaries is indirect. That's going to go in the overhead section, so no. Right, and there are no other manufacturing costs, right? So what I'd like you to do, please, is for genes and things, right? All you're really doing is you are tacking on this 135 right here, right? So you would add factory wages 135,000, and then give me a subtotal, right? And that's going to be a prime cost. Monday, Wednesday, 4 to 6 PUA, half 6 to half 8. Then Thursday for this weekend, next week is 4 to 6. Burrell, yeah. Manufacturing today and Wednesday. Next week we'll switch it up to partnerships already. Companies. Nice 1 day thing, boy. Ratios, yeah. Maybe ratios. Or this might end up next week as well. Right. So let's just add it there. So add factory wages. 5, 1, 2, 3. Right, and that is your prime cost. Yes, it is actually. Recorded both on I think WhatsApp. Recorded both on YouTube and here on TikTok. I just don't post the whole thing on TikTok. Backup stream in case something wrong with YouTube stream. All right. Google Meet, if you guys are good with what's currently on the screen, just kind of give me a quick If, of course, you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. That's not a problem. All right. In class, people, are we okay with what we have so far? All right, cool. So normally what I would do is I would go into the overhead section. However, I want to practice this section a little bit more, right? So even if we just do, I have more questions, even if we just do the prime cost section for the rest of class, that's okay. Because I mean, Wednesday, we could jump straight into the overhead section and work in progress, right? The overhead section tends to be a little more involved when we have expenses to, or costs to split between it and the, what you call it, the income statement, right? But I rather focus a little bit more on the cost of materials used and these things. And of course, I do want to find a question where we have other direct costs. All right, cool. So moving this now, and I'm going to pull up this item here. Okay. I'm doing lip set first, boy, because JB was the one. Yeah, JB was the one. Okay, we'll do JB. Then we'll do lip set. That's not a problem. So right, so online people are saying something in the chat there, right? Yeah. All right, so this is the 2014 main question. This is the JB. Yeah, JB Manufacturing produces athletics equipment. Following info was provided for the year ended 31st December 2013. Study it carefully, answer the question. Right, okay. Let's go back in here a little bit more. Oh, no, I can't do two of them, sorry. Right. So you have your purchases of direct materials at the start there, right? Carriage in. So direct materials and raw materials, the same thing. Look, you have a direct expenses, right, for the factory. So that will be your new item, right? Right under direct wages or factory wages, which is the next item. I don't know why they have two columns here, to be honest. I don't know what the point of that was. None of the items here are credit items, right? Factory. So you have your factory wages as your labor. You have your other direct expenses. Nothing else here is direct. Of course, for your materials now, what do we need? We need the opening stock, which is here. See, down here, direct materials on the start of January, 7,500. At the end of December, 43. So you have your opening stock down here, and your closing stock, and you have your purchases at the start, at the top here. All right. And don't forget your carriage. I'm not seeing any returns out, so you have one less item to worry about. All right. So what we're doing here is the prime cost calculation. The cost of materials used, direct labor, and any other direct expenses. Which one? JB? Let's have carriage here. Carriage and what? Yeah, I'm not seeing returns. Out. No, I see any carriage, I'm not seeing any returns. Yep. That's correct. $65,000. Hold on. What are you trying to find? That's it right there. Purchases of direct materials. Like I said, these. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. I'm confused now. What are they trying to find? Right. That's the only item there. Purchases of material. Right. So they ended up using raw and direct interchangeably, but they mean the same thing. Yeah. So nothing else says raw materials. So they should have said direct, but they mean the same thing. Your opening stock is here, 75. Plus your purchases, 65. Okay. I want to start starting here. If you need a minute or two again, let me know. I still see some writing, so let me give you a minute or two again. Mobile, I don't want anything from you. No, go away. Go away. Carriage out, no. let's go. This up. Oh no. Oh, this is 2014, right? Okay, cool. So JB Manufacturing. Let's put that down. Oh, down. Hey, give yourself right. 1st December 2013. Cool. Right, so let's go. So the inventory at start is down here. Right, so let's use direct as the word. So inventory at start was 7,500, right? Purchases was a little higher up. That was 65,000. Carriage in was 2,000, yeah? Cool. We had no returns out, so we could actually just omit that entire line. And the inventory at end, what was the value there? Very good. Right, so our cost of raw materials was 70,200. Anybody can confirm that? Yeah? All right, cool. And then the only other thing that we can add here, sorry, we have two things we could add here, my bad. Yeah, so the factory wages is 30,000. And then the one, right, about direct expenses, right? Right. And now we just have to add all three things together. Right. This is what the prime cost item would be, 101,700, right? So your cost of raw materials used, your factory wages, and then your other direct expenses. Yeah. Add all three, and you get prime costs. Cool. Okay. Okay, Google Meet, just give me a quick G in chat if you're good with that, please, and thanks. In class, people, were you okay with JB manufacturing prime costs? Yeah? All right, cool. Thank you. Right, that's 6 out of 10. All right, the next one, let me know what's going on now. There is, are we okay with that one? All right, okay, so we're going again. Right, so this page here, hold on now. Current page. See, we could. Oh, that's a little too big. Huh. So it was online. I just sent you a picture in the chat, but the information will stay on the screen. All right, so this is the 2009 paper, I believe. The first question, has anyone before this? Sorry, I was supposed to do that. My bad. Let me do that one time. Sorry. Right. So this is. Yeah, I was supposed to send this from before. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. Usually, yeah. May 2009. Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna put this down. Put this down too. Right. So Lipset. Yeah, because it says June 30th, 2008. Right. So it could only be, well, highly likely it's 2009. Right. So inventory at start. So May 1st is the start of the year. June 30th is the. No, something wrong there. This either supposed to say April 30th or this supposed to say July 1st. In any case, these are the opening balances here. Yeah, and the closing balances here. All right. So yeah, this should have said July 1st, not May 1st. Anyhow, right. Now we have purchases of raw material, returns outward. Now we could only have returns outward of raw materials, carriage on raw materials. You have the factory wages, direct expenses. All right. So what I want you to do is find the prime cost for this question here. Sorry. Yeah, of course, it's Prince Chris. I just have the participle question. Sorry about that. Hey, Doc. Good afternoon to you too. How you doing? Yeah. Uh-huh. That sounds like an income statement. It could never be manufacturing. Nope. Sales figure will never be in the manufacturing account. But once again, the manufacturing account is not a financial statement. There is no fixed format for it. So they can put whatever they want in it, technically speaking. But what is a manufacturing account supposed to show? It's supposed to show the cost of production incurred in the creation of all of the units of output. Sales have nothing to do with that, right? So if they put sales in it, sales only goes in the income statement. So some people think that the manufacturing income statement is a completely different beast. It is not, right? The only difference is that instead of purchases of finished goods, you have the cost of the goods manufactured, which is from the manufacturing account, right? So if you have it, I'll take a look and I'll confirm, but that could never be a manufacturing account. That started with sales, that's unnecessary. And if they give it to you, I tell you, disregard and ignore. And do what you're comfortable with and that you understand. If you don't understand something, you can't use it. Probably today on Wednesday. Worst case scenario, we have one class next week now, so we could push it to then. But I don't feel like it should take that long. I'll open the suggestions for the one session next week if anybody have any suggestions. The week after that is we start the last 2 regular days, and then we, in case you forget, well, if you're in it to win it, right? Well, I gotta take out this, right? So yeah. So if I take out the crash course stuff, I can actually put you all earlier, so you're not here Sunday and Saturday evening. We could just do the classes in the morning if you all prefer. Well, I had an emergency PoA crash course there, and I had you all after. I just figured if we kept the times the same, there'd be no mix-up, right? Because seeing as the exam is Tuesday, right? I wanted to try to get in 8 or 10 sessions before the exam, right? So yeah, this is the week of the Easter vacation. So we are here. This weekend is Easter weekend. We have one session next week, right? And then after that, elections is the Monday, and the next Tuesday is PoA. So we there. Yeah, maths is the Friday. So right after PoA, find yourself here, and we binge in maths. Yeah. Yeah, Shimo, sorry. What did you wanted to see? As in, they're too close together, or is too close to right now? We know this was going to happen. It's happened every year. All right. All you can do is focus on what you do today. Don't worry about that. You just have to put in the work between now and then. All right. We have to do budgets because we didn't do it yet. A couple of costing questions from the past papers. Huh? We could do some past paper questions in it. That's not a problem. But I mean, I never actually like did a whole like handout and lecture on it because it's like it's maths. Yeah. 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 Sorry, I'll give you a couple minutes to come back here. What topics apart from the payroll? What else? Is it or the statement of cash projections? Okay. Budgets like production budget. Okay. Sales budget. All right. Stock valuation. All right. Next week Wednesday we do that. Next week Wednesday we do that. Huh? That's not already. It's not today. But what I kept telling all the parents is that I'm doing with them stuff I did already with all you. So you're technically ahead of them right now. But because they have 16 sessions clustered, they'll end up ahead of you all. But then they'll stop and you will continue. So you'll end up covering more work than they will cover. Right? So if you want to come to it, you're welcome to do so, but it'll just be some redundance. But if you up to all, yeah. 10 to 12 and 1 to 3. So this is my third class for the day. Running on 5 hours of sleep. Sorry. Because I went to bed 1:30, we wake up 6. So that's 4.5. Yeah. Right. So 4 days this week, 4 days next week. So it's 8 days, 2 sessions a day. So that's 16 sessions at 2 hours a piece. Right. Okay, guys, let's put this up. Yeah, because if you'll do that stuff, yeah. That's your whole day, right? They had tried that in the first year. In the first year, they wanted to sleep over because they figured, well, we're here for so long. No, they come. And I went upstairs to get something to eat and come back down, and they're in their pajamas. I said, well, you know, they're asking home, right? I don't mind nobody give a child. Give yourself. Go home. Yeah, is that the next girl who used to come and she used to get cool because she used to stay for maths and PoA, so which is a 4-hour stretch now. So I sitting for PoA, she would come, disappear in the bathroom and come back out in like pajama pants and sweater and then like, all right, okay. Yeah, it was form 4's be nice. That was it. Right, so that's the 30th. I good. I have a 5-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. I haven't slept a full night in 2.5 years. I'm good. Well, yeah, if it works for them, cool. The physics and chemistry guru from the East. The man who Gestapo like, he's know if he shares notes, right? You could have his notes, you show somebody in school, you'll get a text or a call. Why you share my notes with somebody else? Like, how you know? Me, no. I hear about it. I hear about that. I had a next teacher, I will not call any names, it's a business teacher from somewhere in Woodbrook. You're calling no names, right? Right, anyhow. So same thing. So one of her students shared notes. You'll get a call. Like, I don't appreciate you sharing my notes, you know. I'm like, what? It's notes. If you put it in a textbook, we want them to do not share it. I have a textbook up there from my next teacher from the East. She make a whole textbook and it says the students. But if you do that, it's in the public domain. I'm gonna say you can't plagiarize it. And sorry, on a whole different crash. All right, lip set. Okay, so give me the inventory at start for raw material. What's the figure? 4,000, right? What is the purchases figure? Right. We have carriage in. How much? We have returns out. What's the figure? How much? 3.5, right? Okay, hold on. Let me just put less. And then inventory at end. How much? Right, cool. Hold on. Let me just. Right. Okay, cool. That's fine. Oh, hey. Come back here. Right. Factory wages. Yeah, we have that, right? How much? Yeah, and direct expenses, how much? 10. Boom. 240 to 300. Anybody? Everybody? All right. So this is May 2009. Oh, thank you very much, Bella. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. All right. Google Meet. If you guys good with that, give me a quick Genie chat, please, and thanks. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Food. I don't prep for maths later. Yeah, food is a good thing. Food is a good thing. All right. Thursday, we okay with 242, 300? Yeah? Okay, lovely. Okay, we're going again. Same paper. Next question is whom? Sandiford boy. This is a bad one. Yes. Sandiford. Do I want to do Sandiford boy? My next one, fashion. I don't like fashion forward. For all for right now. It's not a bad question. Just don't want to do it right now. Yeah, this is more a math question. You had to multiply and add all kind of sharpness. Well, you should be able to do it if you had it. Okay, cool. Do I need Setri? I don't like Setri. Setri is my least favorite. But we could do that. KC is alright, I feel. Authentic sandals is a waste of time. Little people was a good question too. Actually, I started to save some stuff for Wednesday, so let me save some stuff. Right, okay, cool. So Sandiford. Yeah. Okay, cool. Current page, 8 copies. Right. Okay. Won't need everything in the pick. That is it. Right, Thunderford, owner operator, that which specializes that following information. Okay, cool. Right. Okay. Okay. All right, folks. So we have, so again, we're just doing the prime cost section. So stocks, so raw materials, finished goods, right? So it's just the raw materials interesting. So there's the start, clearly, there's the end. You have purchases, and factory supplies, returns of raw materials, you have that. Transportation costs, raw materials. So you see, they didn't call it carriage inwards, right? They call it something else. So you have to read carefully, right? Factory manager's salary. Yes, I did. Not a while ago. But then there was only one for a while. And then I realized, if I put up two, they get a pass between. Yeah. But I need to get one of the hooks for the middle because it's sagging in the middle. Yeah. Right. Okay. So you have your opening stock, you have your closing stock, you have your purchases, you have your carriage in, you have your returns. Wages of factory workers. And there's one other thing here. Wasn't it this question, Sandiford? What year is this? 2011 Jan. 2011 Jan, sorry. Yep. It turns out, yep. Oh, thank you for sharing that lesson. Carriage in, you mean? Transportation costs. Yep. Ah, right. So that's what I was hoping somebody would talk about, right? Because I have a kind of box of here in red, right? Right. So when I did it in school, right, packaging was not direct apparently, from what I remember. However, over the years we have had discussions, right? So packaging, when you go to the store to buy all the snacks and things, exactly, it comes in a package, right? And we probably have the ability to cost what that package is, right? To assign a cost, and it's directly attributable. It basically contains the finished output. So therefore, the question then becomes: is it now part of it? Without the packaging, could we deliver the output? No, we couldn't. I mean, could you imagine when you're going to like Domino's, coming here and just flinging all your pizza thing without any box? No, probably not, right? It might be kind of nasty, right? Right? Imagine you're gonna wax it with the doubles. Hold out your hand. You understand? Your hand burn up, right? So no. So yeah. So packaging, and actually I did a Google search and I don't know if I saved the PDF. I think I have here somewhere. And the long story short, the TLDR is that yes, packaging is direct. Right? So yeah. So the other direct expense that you would include here would be the packing material. All right. Now, the doubt I had with this question said packing material as opposed to packaging. The question is, are they one and the same? For example, when stuff shipped from Amazon and it come to your house in the box, it have sometimes like plastic filled with air, right? Is that really part of the cost of it? But it's packaging material, right? The box, of course, is the packaging. So it couldn't ship without the box. If it shipped without the packaging material, that might cause it will run a risk of damage to the item. So therefore, it now becomes a necessary part of the shipping. That's the question we have. So I'm leaning more towards yes, right? No, it is answered, but I don't think by any of the CSEC POA texts. I'm not sure. I haven't read any of them, so I can't tell you with any definitive thing. It should be fine. I'll send a message and ask. But just give me 1 second. I was sending something via WhatsApp to one of my Form 6s who asked for something like 5 days ago. I don't have it. Correct. I know. I have that already on my YouTube. Right? You can check it out. The crash course started today. I have the sessions recorded today yet, so if any of you who are talking to like it's Anna Gamer, those videos are up already, yeah? And that's yeah, the crash course started today, but if you join, find a platform on DME, WhatsApp, TikTok, message me somewhere. So they get sign up and you can start tomorrow. And it recorded so I can send you what you missed today. Um, these free lives here not gonna last much long. 2 weeks again. All right, guys, let's take a swing here. What year is this? 2011 Jan, right? E. Sandiford. December. Ah, Okay, no problems, Jordan. Technical difficulties. Don't worry. I had some kids didn't realize that their microphone wasn't working. And they thought I was ignoring them until they check it out. So no harm, no foul. All right, let me take out this and this. Yeah, okay, cool. So there we go. Okay, what's the value for the inventory of materials at start? So, value of purchases of materials. 35. Cool. We have carriage. Yeah, we do. That is the transportation cost on raw materials. So again, they didn't call it carriage inwards, but that's what carriage inwards is: delivery or transportation charges, things coming in. Yes, that's correct. That'll be carriage out. That will go in the income statement expense section. Right. Do we have returns? Yeah, look, we have returns on raw materials there, right? And the inventory at end was 6,000. Very good. So the cost of raw materials use 132.6. Okay, factory wages. We have factory wages. Yeah, wages of factory workers 62.9. And right, so we said here, so in case you didn't hear, we were talking about it. So this packing material will include, right? So packing material or packaging, yeah. Right. So patent fees, like licenses, license fees. It's basically payment for use of intellectual property. That's basically what it is. So it's neither material nor labor. So what it is like kind of what you call it, intangibles, right? Except of course if it's packaging, because then you could literally touch it. Yeah. Right. So patents, license fees, trademark fees. There are a couple others that elude me right now. Right. Right. So in case you missed the discussion we were having about the packaging, right? So again, like what I was saying is when from what I remember, and I could be remembering incorrectly, right? I was taught that packaging was not a direct expense because it's not part of the actual finished product. I was like, okay, that makes sense. We don't like if you get something from Amazon, you're not wearing the box, you're not putting the box on your foot, you're not using the box to play games, right? Cool. It's just something it come in for transport, right? But it's not good. Over time, however, when they started to think about it a bit more, and that's where we get into trouble, thinking about things too much. What happened was they're like, okay, hold on. What's a direct cost? A cost that's easily and directly attributable or traceable to a finished unit of output. So okay, cool. And they say, well, we could find a cost for the box, or we could find a cost for the wrapper, we could find a cost for those things. That's not hard to do. Okay, cool. But why is it direct? Because, well, it literally contains the finished product. Does that make it direct? Well, could we deliver the item without the packaging? No. Or we could, but I mean, like I said, if it's food stuff, you can imagine the KFC man bringing your KFC in his hands. We want it in his hands. You know? You go by the doubles man and you had a whole bar and jar in your hand, like a soup, you know? Burn up your hand, kind of thing. If you have pepper in your eye, well, pressure, right? So, yeah, so, and then like I said, I did a Google search and I found that there was a paper on why packaging is direct or could be, right? There are instances where it's not, all right? And that's why I would say that I had a doubt in this question about packing material. Like, I don't know if you all know what packing peanuts are. Like those styrofoam chips that they put in to help shield or protect the package from, like, if it's dropped accidentally, whatever the case is, right? So, to me, that shouldn't be part of direct. Honestly, I still don't feel 100% that it should be. But based on the logic they present, they say, look, this was necessary for the product to reach the consumer. But then if you want, you could argue, well, so was the electricity, so was the depreciation, so was etc. But no, none of those things physically go on the product and go with it, right? So, of course, if anybody has a text and you're taking a look in the text for packaging and packing and where material or where there's direct and indirect, please take a look and let me know. Because like I said, I really hold stock in textbooks, especially Caribbean ones. I'm not trying to bad talk them. I just don't like them because I've tried to use a couple of them. Didn't work for me. That don't mean it don't work. Just didn't work for me. All right? Not trying to get them a bad name, really and truly. Unless it's anything from Cape directly. In which case, there are plenty of mistakes. Don't even bother. Don't even waste your time. All right? Anyhow, folks. Right. So today, we revise the top section of the manufacturing. When we come on Wednesday, we're going to go into the overhead section. Right? And then we're going to close off with the work in progress. So we should be able to finish this on Wednesday. Right? Next week, Wednesday, because we don't have class Monday because it's a public holiday. Next week, Wednesday, we'll probably be taking a little crash course thing in inventory valuation, like 454 ASCO. Again, I'll try to pull the passive for questions and work straight from there. All right? That's about it. Of course, if anybody has any questions and they get to ask during class, please feel free to let me know. Other than that, have a good evening and see you on Wednesday. Bye. Google Meet, I'll go on later. All right. Yeah, no problem. Yo, you out? Yeah, man. All right. YouTube, I'll go on there, boy. 1920. What? Today was a good day, boy. Yeah. Anna, I didn't know if Anna was still there or Tet. Right, but you all could spread the word. Tama Crash was going on. All the sessions are recorded. Right. There was a discount that expired today at 20% discount. So instead of 8, it was 640. If you join up before the week out, I will still give a 10% discount.